Here, nestling among the beautiful hills of the Welsh countryside, are the foundries and workshops of the Royal Mint. But it's not all furnace and factory, because the buildings also house a most remarkable museum, where you will find some of the oldest, rarest and most precious coins in the world. Occasionally the coins are borrowed, so once in a while the curator likes to check his stock. This is one of the first gold coins ever to be struck by a King of England. An Edward III noble. Irreplaceable and years out of production, but the Mint's collection is always growing because a mint is the place where money is made. At over 1,000 degrees centigrade, the melting furnace glows with a mix of copper, zinc and a tiny dash of nickel brass, and with it we will make a £1 coin. The alloy is poured into the casting equipment, at the bottom of which it's solidified between two slabs of water-cooled graphite to be drawn off as a continuous strip. Because of the heat, the metal has reacted with oxygen in the atmosphere and gone all black. So, after further cooling, tools like this are used to scrape the surface clean. Aided by lubricating fluid, scrapers like this rip off the ugly black oxide to reveal a golden shine. The metal is clean, but it's far too thick to make pound coins from. Squeezed between rollers, working under enormous pressure, the metal strip is thinned and broadened like pastry under a chef's rolling pin. The precision rolling machine produces a strip that's exactly as thick as a pound coin should be, and winds it up like a watch spring. Yet again, the metal is treated like it were pastry, as the blanking press punches 100 holes in it every second. It produces a glistening web, but the real joy of this press is to the side. Are these little discs looking familiar? They're blanks, because they haven't got the Queen's head on them yet, but they soon will have. Metal is tricky stuff, because the more you push it about, the tougher it gets. This is called work hardening. So, before we can strike the blanks with the Queen's profile, we have to cook them in the annealing oven. After a good long bake, the metal is malleable, which means it's softer. But look, the heat has oxidized the surface again. A bath with abrasive ball bearings will sort them out in a cauldron that's filled with a solution of sulfuric acid. After 20 minutes with acid and silver balls, the shine is again restored. But the would-be coins are now mixed up with the ball bearings. The acid is washed off and the ball bearings fall through a sieve to be recycled. Meanwhile, the shiny blanks dance their way into the drying chamber. The first impression on the softened metal will be made by the rimmer. In the bad old days, certain criminals would clip coins around the edge so they could sell the precious metal. This was all very well for the crooks, but it left the coins getting smaller and smaller. By having a pattern pressed into the edge, the coins are decorated and protected from the evil that is clipping. But they still need their obverse and reverse pictures, the heads and tails. Coin designs are often drawn up here in the engraving department. The pictures and writings that you see upon coins and medals are created by patterns of relief, ups and downs that you can feel under your finger. The shading that the designer applies with her pencil represents just how the coin should look when the picture is pressed into the metal in 3 dimensions. When it's finished, the drawing is handed over to an engraver. Every tiny detail is cut into a block of plaster. In years gone by, the plaster model was used to make a hard metal copy, known as an electrotype. The pattern on the electrotype would then be reduced on one of the Mint's magnificent old Janvier machines. As the electrotype rotates, the design is traced by a fine metal point fixed to one end of a pivoted bar. At the same time, the movement of the tracer is scaled down onto the tip of a tiny spinning cutter. Over the course of several days, the cutter produced a reduction punch from which working dies could be made, such as this one, which may well have pressed the 10-pence piece in your pocket. After more than 100 years of service, the Janvier machine has now been replaced by more modern technologies. Here, a round ruby-tipped probe is scanning an original plaster model, and as it tracks, a digital recording of every tiny movement is transferred into the memory of a computer. The record of the scan can be used at any time by this cutting machine. It's faster than the Janvier, but what a terrible racket. The disc we see here is to be a collector's silver pound, and it will be struck by hydraulically controlled dies with an amazing 200 tons behind them. That's more than the weight of a blue whale, the biggest animal that ever lived. 400 years ago, the striking was done using a hammer in the hand. And out comes a silver proof, a collector's coin that's almost perfect in every way. To make the pound in your pocket, there's a machine that works at a far sharper rate. If we open the door, you can see the press inside, bouncing up and down with a force equivalent to 60 tons. That's about 15 big elephants. This press can turn out about £25,000 an hour. From time to time, a coin is sampled to be sure that the machine is working well and producing vast quantities of cash to the highest standards. The coins are wrapped and stacked before being taken away for storage in the long room, one of the most secure rooms in the world, because it's filled to the ceiling with money. And if you're lucky enough, some of that money will make its way into your pocket. These two are buying their weekly ration of sweeties. Coins are very hard to copy, which is why they hold their value. Another good thing about coins is that if you drop one on a hard floor, it makes a noise, so you can rescue it. The children are saving their change for a rainy day. But who knows? In several hundred years from now, the coins in this tin might just make their way back to the Museum of the Royal Mint.